That says everything about WTC. But I think the 806 is better off with Tom Brown coaching in it. But he's loyal. Look what he was a forever citizen at Winona. He's 11 years here. So I think they got to factor that in. Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hey, welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Lunner, along with host Jimmy Lackey. We are a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We're proud of that. And this is number 39. We're almost to the age of 40. Jimmy, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good. We've got a big week ahead of us.
And why's that?
Well, we're opening up our new ballpark in Hereford on Saturday. We have our first tournament.
Ooh.
And so Craig's over there. He's been over there the last 2 or 3 weeks getting things cinched up all the last minute.
Yeah.
And T.
Are you going to do it like remember the movie Bad News Bears? Is that before your time? Or
No, my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Do you remember the opening day ceremony they had?
We do. Now, opening day is set for March 29th. That's when our league play will begin. And that's when all of our teams from the Hereford League will be involved. We do have a big grand opening ceremony set for that day. And that'll be, the mayor and the chamber.
They have all the teams out there?
All the parade of teams and all of that will be on
That's awesome.
Saturday. And all the teams will play a game that day.
Wow.
So everybody's going to get a game in that day. And
that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. This weekend is a tournament, and it's a kind of a nice trial run.
Yeah.
Just to get things up and running.
Do you have pretty good response for the tournament?
We're not. The nice thing about this weekend is Rob Woods and that group here in Amarillo, they're actually operating this tournament. So the way the complex works in Hereford is it's a city-owned facility. It's next door to our indoor soccer arena and our outdoor component on the south side that Hereford Sports and Wellness owns. The city hired Hereford Sports and Wellness, contracted with us to manage and operate the new ballpark.
Gotcha.
So we manage, we do all the contracts, we get everything in. So we are contracting this weekend with Texas Panhandle Youth Sports Foundation for this tournament. They will operate and manage the tournament. And it'll be a good trial run to see how things work, find out what needs to be done.
Yeah, turf field.
Oh, yeah, all turf fields, yeah. You get out there, I don't know how you can complain. I know parents are going to complain. The first time an umpire makes a call, they don't like it. I know how that works.
But they are on turf.
But they need to back off and look around and go, my gosh, how nice is this?
Yeah,
and,
that's cool.
That's what we're fixing to have in Amarillo, too. And so this is a sneak peek into what's coming down the pipe for us. It's beautiful. The facility's beautiful. There's some landscaping still yet to be done, a few little things. But
that's awesome.
You get those kids on those fields.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah. And they're fielding ground balls on turf. How cool is that?
No joke.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's pretty cool. Hey, we have a tradition here at the Fieldhouse Podcast, like 39. This is our 39th podcast, and we go with a number that impacts us at 39. I really didn't have to look this one up either.
I didn't either. We'll see if we have the same, because I certainly didn't have to.
All right, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Larry Zonka. Bingo. That's funny.
Okay.
I was going to go with the face mask.
Zonka had the famous, speaking of the famous face mask that Jimmy just mentioned, that kind of had the middle bar.
Yep.
Made him tougher, look even tougher. He kind of leaned forward when he ran. He was on the undefeated Miami Dolphin team that's still legendary. Kickin' Zonka.
Yeah,
Larry
Kick and Larry Zonka.
Yeah. They were Sundance and Butch, whatever they nicknamed
them. That's what they named them.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Miami Dolphins. By the way, I don't know if we can see this up close, but I'll show it to Jimmy. When I had the honor of going to Zach Thomas's Hall of Fame after party, you know what I mean? A lot of Dolphins were in there. We got there early, Rhonda and I did, like right the second the door opened, we were there. We were nerds, you know what I mean? And
that's what you're supposed to do.
Just sat and watched all these people come through. But Larry Zonka's there. He goes, we're walking in. He goes, you want to see the ring? And there's the ring of the champs, over my shoulder. And
Is it missing a stone?
Oh, it's probably.
No, you know
Look how little
what's
it is, though, Jimmy.
Pet Detective, Ace Ventura,
Yeah,
Pet Detective.
yeah. But look how little that ring is compared to what they get now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But
anyway, that's my
You can
Larry.
wear that one.
Yeah. That's my Larry Zonka story. Pretty cool. Crippled up a little bit, on a cane and everything, but who isn't at that time? But that's pretty cool. That's the first time we've, I think, really 100% agreed on one.
Yeah, there was no doubt.
40 is going to be easier for me than
40's. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
No, I got it.
Well,
okay, I'm just telling you.
We probably do 1, 2, 3. We probably won't be the same. I may have
that
to
may
do
be
a
our
little,
new tradition.
I'm going to have to do a little research.
That was kind of corny, but that may be the way to go now. So, yeah. Hey, lots going on. First, let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind. You're tapped into West Texas A&M basketball. The Lone Star Conference tournament just finished over the weekend as we speak now. The Buffs win the first round, lose in overtime to Lubbock Christian in the second round. But during that time, and we texted back and forth, the rumors that Tom Brown was going to Stephen F. Austin. One of the guys, I don't give him credit. I mean, Corey Hogue, he's tapped into the Lone Star Conference. He's Dave Campbell's small college football writer, so he's not going to he's not one of these flippant guys like, I have to get the scoop. Now, he wanted this scoop pretty bad, but he put it out there that Tom was taking that job, and it wasn't. It's an assistant at Tech that got the job.
Yep.
While this is going on, so the players are down there. I'm just asking you, Jimmy, as a player, you hear Tom's leaving, then you hear the Tech guy gets it, and you play two great games.
I was shocked. I'll be honest with you. I was shocked.
That he did not get it?
That he did not get the job. Just because – and I think looking back, it's just because we all expected that to happen. I mean, let's lay the landscape out. Michael McBroom, former athletic director at West Texas A&M University, now the athletic director at Stephen F. Austin. Colby Carthel, head football coach, prior to Michael's time at Stephen F. Austin. Matt Vanderberg leaves WT baseball to go to Stephen F. Austin. Neil Weaver, former vice president of development at WT, is now the president at Stephen F. Austin. And frankly, you've got one of the best, if not the best, Division II basketball coach in the country.
Yeah.
Sitting here, had been here 11. This is his 11th season here at WT.
Plays a fun style. Fans enjoy it. Players enjoy it.
Year in and year out, perennial powerhouse. Good recruiter, brings good talent in. This is his opportunity to make that next step to that Division I deal. I thought it was a done deal a week ago. I really did. I was shocked when I heard differently. I will tell you, I've talked to Michael since then, and I won't go into our private conversation.
Yeah, that's cool.
But here's what I did tell Michael, and I don't mind saying this publicly. I never question his coaches' hirings.
Oh, no.
I mean, all you have to do is look at his record in hiring coaches.
He's absolutely the best.
And he deciphers through all of the junk and all the stuff that you and I want to look at. He puts a lot of that stuff aside, and he's looking at the root-based, who fits this program, who fits our needs right now, how can I best make my decision. And I'll tell you what, proof will be in the pudding. But I told him yesterday, I said, Michael, I would never question your decision-making skills when it comes to hiring coaches, because his track record speaks for itself. End of story. I
texted with him briefly. He's not going to mind. And I just said flat out, this guy's got to be a heck of a coach to beat out Tom Brown.
Yep.
And he just said, I love Tom and I love his style and all that, and we think we got our guys. That's all he said. I mean, no disrespect to Tom at all. It was tight competition. I will say this. Does this mean Tom had that taste of being out the door? Let's face it. He probably thought the same thing you and I are thinking. Don't want to get in Tom's mind. No one can get in that mind. It's so up there. But I will say is he going to continue to look? That's
well.
Fair.
Here's what I
question.
Here's what I told my wife yesterday when she said, "Do you think Tom will stay?" And I said, "I've been around this game for a long time, and this is my reality. So what I'm fixing to tell you is my opinion. I have no knowledge. I have nothing other than Jimmy's scoop in his own mind.
Okay.
Tom's name's out there now.
Yeah.
They went through a search firm to do this process at Stephen F. Austin. His name was up there at the very top of the list.
Yeah.
Other schools are going to use that same firm for their searches. It's end of season. Coaches are going to be let go. There's going to be a lot of movement, and his name's going to get thrown out there a lot. I would say that there's a decent chance that somebody's going to go, wait a minute, who's this Tom Brown guy? Let me look into him.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at his record and go, whoa, let's bring him in and have a conversation. Tom is deserving of that next level. I don't know anything about their budgets down at Stephen F. Austin, but I would be willing to bet you money that would be a double salary.
Oh, yeah, I think triple.
I think a double in salary minimum for Tom in a move.
He is the highest paid in the Lone Star. Let's.
Yeah.
I mean,
and deservedly so.
Deservedly so.
But I would suspect that when you move to that next level, you're looking at least a double, if not more, in salary.
Yeah.
And that's when family comes in and all that. Tom's got a kid that'll be a senior in Emerald High next year.
Great player for Emerald High. So a lot goes into that. People, I'm sure people realize that, but families considered. His son Zach's probably the best player in Amarillo, overall player. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Defense, intelligent, IQ on the court, ability to shoot it. He's as good as it gets. Jason Pillion will die on that sword, you know what I mean? And I trust Jason. He's the Amarillo High basketball coach as much as anybody. But I'm just going to say this, that WT's better if Tom's there. Let's face it. They're a very young team. That's what happens. That's why you get a 12-point lead or so on halftime at LCU and then lose in overtime, because you're young and they're not. And he knows that. 3 of their freshmen were on the all-freshman team. So that says everything about WT's season. But I think the 806 is better off with Tom Brown coaching in it. But he's loyal. Look what he was a forever assistant at Winona. He's 11 years here. So I think they got to factor that in.
I'll take it a step further. Who's been by his side the entire time?
Oh, yeah. Chris Gove. Yeah.
How many, especially Division II programs, do you know that are as successful as our men's basketball program has been over the last 11 years, that the same 2 head guys are sitting on the bench together during that entire
probably
time?
Probably zero.
Zero would be my guess.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he and Chris were together at Winona prior to that. I mean, their families are locked in step.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty cool.
For us to have a combination like that. And then you got to throw Quincy in the mix too. Quincy Henderson was here up until a couple of years ago and was with them at Winona, played for them at Winona. And now Quincy's got a head job at St. Cloud. And so, but those guys were loyal to one another.
Yeah.
And, you just have to think at this point in time, and I told Kim yesterday, we talked a long time about it yesterday, I'm not going to be surprised if we have somebody different on the bench at WT next year, just because somebody's going to see his resume that might not have been aware of him before.
Yeah.
But that search firm has that information, and when they hire that search firm or they start doing their research, search firm to search firm, and everybody's doing their
and Tom's not going to jump just to jump.
No,
he's not. He's just
absolutely
say,
not.
"Oh, I'm a D1 coach." That's not his personality. That's not what he's about. So,
well, he'll tell you he hasn't ever been really tuned into the Division I network before.
And it's a network. Great point, Jimmy. It is a network. Okay, you don't think Grant McCaslin, the head coach at Texas Tech, called Michael McBroom and said,
100%.
"This guy can flat out coach." He's and Grant had experience at Midwestern. Everybody respects what Grant's doing. So that resume helped, you know what I mean?
And another loyal guy. This guy's been with Grant. He was at North Texas with him.
They say he's a
workhorse.
They say he's a workhorse.
Yeah, that's what I hear. And so I don't know him, but, congratulations to him.
If Tom's listening in, we're glad you're still around, Tom. So,
yeah, we are. Okay, so I'm gonna spill my beans here. If you go in there on my desk right now, the rosters from our last home game, they pass out those little sheets, is sitting on my desk because I honestly almost asked Tricia on my way out, and I thought, no, I'm going to wait. This is not the right time. but I wanted him and Chris to sign my last roster sheet that's at my desk because
you had that gut.
I really had this gut feeling that I just watched Tom Brown coach his last game at the event center.
Wow.
That's God's honest truth. It's sitting on my desk right now.
That's pretty cool.
And
we'll see. I mean, his wife has a good job at WT. He has a good job at WT. Chris Gove is well paid as an assistant there at WT, Division II wise, and so
the question also obviously in that mix too, and I've never asked Chris this: do you have aspirations of being a head coach?
Yeah, I think he has a few times.
I think he does.
I think he's tapped in, and he could do it.
Oh,
I mean, he's a defensive mastermind. So
I if you're going to ask me what's my crystal ball say, I think there's going to be a shakeup in the men's basketball program.
We'll bet a Mountain Dew on that, and whatever you
think
want.
he's staying?
Yeah, I think this was.
I hope you're right.
I think this is.
I'll pay you a case of Mountain Dews if you're right on that one.
This is his home run swing. His daughter's a junior at Amarillo High. I think, okay, we tried. It didn't work out. I'm going to stick it out, and then once Ella graduates, we'll look again.
I hope you're right. I'm going to do this. I hope you're right.
Okay, all right. Hey, speaking of hoops, if you don't mind, it is March Madness. This Sunday coming up is the selection committee. Jimmy, is the NCAA tournament the best sporting event on planet Earth?
It is in my book. And I love college sports. You know me, I'm a football freak. But this time of year, man, when you can flip the TV on and there's a game all the time and it means something, and it's do or die, I'm in. Because you see that one or two teams that just bust everybody's bubble.
Yeah.
And
the bracket you fill out.
Alabama and Auburn the other day, that last minute shot.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. That's what you live for in this March Madness time.
Yeah. Do you think it helps that we do have that bracket that everybody fills out and it's become part of it? It's kind of like fantasy football with the NFL. Don't be fooled by fantasy football is so fanatical that it does fuel the NFL. Yeah. That's why everybody watches it partly. See how my guy's doing. And it's even sparked the fandom. But I think the bracket has sparked the fandom, too, of that tournament originally. But it's just so –
genius marketing.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to. It's like we talked about it all the time. The NFL's the best at it. This is probably second best, and it's only because it comes around once a year. But March Madness is the pinnacle. We'll have we have TVs in this office, and they'll be on.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
they'll be on during March Madness.
The soccer world will say the World Cup, no comparison. I get it. Super Bowl's a Super Bowl. The NFL kind of goes up to that. But I'm with you for 3 weeks or whatever it is. It's as good as it gets. You know what I mean? And then you jump right into the Masters afterward. It's kind of a combination of, wow, we're in store for some great stuff coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And summertime's coming and all that good stuff too.
Yeah.
We had snow Saturday.
Do you have a favorite memory of the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I can remember where I was sitting when North Carolina State made that shot to beat Houston. I mean, Houston, in my mind, hands down, was going to win the national championship. They had the best team. It just didn't happen that night. I still think they had the better team.
Oh, yeah.
But,
and then Jamma.
And then, oh, yeah. And then to watch what unfolded after that with Coach Valvano and all of that and his legacy that's lived through today.
Yeah.
I go back to that 83 moment. That was, I can tell you, my friend Mike Sullivan, we were at his apartment. We were both students at WT at the time, and I'll never forget where I was sitting when he made that shot, and we're just staring at each other like, that just happened. Yeah, that's definitely the moment,
That's cool, yeah. Down at the pit in New Mexico is where the game was actually played. That adds to it as well. I had driven from Amarillo, the first grandchild of my mom and dad, but also obviously my first niece or nephew had been born a few days earlier. So I get in the car, the deer slayer, we called it. It was a Chevy Impala, dented up. Some deers had run into my brother, you know what I mean? But it ran, and I had no money at that time, so that's what I was driving. Anyway, long story short, I got to Clayton, snowstorm. Like, they shut down, it was closed.
Yep.
So I'm stuck there. I happened to, my mom and dad had some friends there. It was crazy. I'd only been there once in my life. I'd drive up there, knock on the door about 11 at night, say, hey, and they go, come on in. And I was there for 3 days. I mean, it was one of those snowstorms.
Wow.
but that's where I watched the game.
Okay.
In New Mexico, barely. Clayton, New Mexico, where it was played. So
Been playing down the road.
No, that's a great memory. I happened to. This is way back. Covered the '86 Final Four for the Globe News. One of the great thrills of my life at Reunion Arena. Duke, LSU, Louisville wins it. Kansas is there. Just think of that. That's Larry Brown. That's young Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
That's the crazy man from LSU, the other Brown. And then Louisville was Denny Crum.
Mm-hmm.
So those, and I got in all those press conferences. It was a big thrill for me to be able to experience that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, the Leitner shot,
Yeah.
I mean, those moments, just you go back, there's so many moments during March Madness, but championship moments, hands down, was the '83 North Carolina State.
Yeah, that's cool.
Beating
Let's
Houston.
stick with hoops a little bit more. We ended the Texas high school basketball season this past weekend in San Antonio. We had Valley. Congratulations to Valley. I shouldn't say only one, but we had one team down there, and that we didn't win any state championships. In the boys, there were some definite blowouts in the Division I and Division IIs. They kind of got saved at the end there. The 4A, 5A, 6A's kind of put on a show. There were some overtime games, very tight games. So they kind of rebounded from the disrespect for Division I and Division II for the first time. No state semifinal games. I think they've got to figure a way to change that, Jimmy. But my question to you, watching those games, do we need a shot clock in high school?
I think it'd make the game more interesting. I really do. As fast-paced as it is, and here's the deal. If those kids, especially you go down to state, and you've got kids that are going to go play college ball, they need that exposure and they need that experience playing with shot clock. That's just my opinion. And
Yeah.
I think they need to have that available to them prior to
I don't think you need a 30-second even or a 35. Even if it's 45 seconds. So that's plenty of time to set up, get a possession in without delaying the game completely like the last 3 minutes trying to hold the ball. I'm with you. The price is like $5,000, I guess, for the shot clocks in the gyms. You have to have somebody run it. I get all that. It's tough just to get a scorekeeper and a bookkeeper sometimes. But I think if anything, it's life. When it changes, you have to change with it.
Well, that's no different, Lance, than going from a two-man crew to a three-man crew on official. We don't remember that.
Yeah.
Most people don't remember that.
Yeah.
Young kids wouldn't even have a clue that once upon a time there was only two officials on the court.
Yeah.
You just have to change with the times.
Yeah.
And I think shot clock's probably one of those things that.
Yeah. I will say this, the one thing I say overall, the shot clock is number one, in my opinion, that Texas high school basketball has to implement. And number two, the UIL has to somehow figure out to get the semifinals back there, Jimmy. It's like you drive down, you play, you're gone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's not the experience we saw these four teams play. Now we get to see these two teams and kind of the matchup.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And this probably is selfish for me to say this way, but we live in Canyon, and I grew up in Dumas, and I bleed black and orange.
Yeah.
But we had daughters that played basketball, and they weren't the best, and so we didn't have any of those kids on those good teams. But there are families that plan their vacation, and when I say vacations, work vacations around that state tournament.
Yeah, totally. Kim
and I Kim used to take the girls every year. Every year they went to the state basketball tournament for the girls every year.
Yeah,
and I went with them a few times, and you see the same people.
Yeah.
I mean, they have those people are going to have their tickets. They're going to be there.
Yeah.
The boys tournament used to sell out, and
the crowds were way down this year.
That was a tough ticket to get.
Yeah.
But it's a weekend experience.
Yeah.
You've mentioned this before. Austin got too expensive for it.
They jacked South by Southwest. You're right.
Oh my gosh, they jacked those hotel prices up $300 and $400 a night.
Motel 6 is getting like $400 a night.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper to get an Airbnb for a group than just to go get a hotel room. But
they didn't have Airbnbs when that was going on. But
the experience for the players and those families, 2 games, because a lot of as well as I do, a lot of those teams that got beat in the semis, they stayed and watched the state finals.
Oh, totally.
You know, and that's an experience.
They make it an experience.
It's an experience for the kids. Those younger kids get a little taste of that. They want to get back. I mean, you can take any scenario you want out of that and go whichever direction you want, but it's a whole weekend experience, and I think that's lost in the current setup.
Yeah. I love the basketball talk. Yeah, I'm with you. It's about the experience, and right now it's not the same. Yep. Especially a neutral site state semifinal game just doesn't have the drama of hey, we're at state. I mean, so I get why they did it. Division I, Division II. Now figure out the next step is getting the semifinals in there. So
I'm going to back up one because it's my alma mater. We didn't mention it. The Lady Buffs got in the regional tournament.
I saw that.
I'm shocked. I guess I didn't do a very good job keeping up with the other conference in the region.
If you saw that last ranking before they went to the tournament, I think there were 6.
Yeah.
But by losing that opening game and the way they lost it, I thought, okay, it's over.
The other conference must have just had a weak year.
Yeah.
That's the only way. I didn't keep up. Shame on me. I didn't keep up. But Kim went to bed early. She does every night. She went to bed last night and she said, "Do you think the girls are going to get in?" I said, "No, I just don't see any way."
Yeah.
And then I'm watching the news, and they're a 6th seed, and I'm like, "Well, stupid me."
Yeah.
And so I go and start doing
a lot of respect for the Lone Star this year out of the committee.
And I think I'm going to say this. I think there's always a lot of respect for our university.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The historical. Totally. I think it was their 29th tournament I saw, 23rd for the men.
Yeah. It's impressive.
It is, but I was a little surprised that the girls got in. I'm tickled for them because
and we get spoiled because they're so good usually, or several years they've been so good. We get to host that regional, and it's so nice to have that here. But
Jerry's probably not excited because 6 of those girls, one of the managers and 5 of our players referee for us. I can go down the list and name them, but they referee for us in our basketball leagues.
That's cool.
And so Jerry's probably disappointed they're going to be gone for another week, and maybe it's that spring break weekend. It won't matter. But we've got 6 of those girls from Lady Buffs that are reffing for us, and we really appreciate them doing that.
On that team to get 6 girls to ref with her.
Yep.
Or 5.
Yep.
I like that. I always like those.
Well, Chloe Callahan's been reffing for us. She'll ref flag football. She'll ref it all. But I can tell you who they all are. Glow is reffing. Taylor's reffing. Randy's reffing. I'm going to leave somebody out. Tatum Bell's reffing. Taylor's reffing. And Chloe. And then one of the managers is reffing too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. They get a little paycheck.
I think Coach Prock really liked this team. I mean, I think they got along off the court. That's something we don't always see with teams. They may be really good, but they're just not a lot of fun to coach. And I'm not just saying women, excuse me, or men are the same way. They're divas all over. You know what I mean? But when you get an actual group that fits. Sometimes, even though they don't have the national title success or whatever, that coach looks back on that season and said, "Man, I had a lot of fun." And sometimes when you have that great team, you're like, "Thank goodness this one's over."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might have too many egos or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I watched that men's game, and we led the whole ball game.
I know.
And you can't put it down to one thing, but golly, Mo missed those 2 free throws. And
you can't put it down to that. He had a great. He's so good.
So glad he made all tournament team. I watched the game yesterday between DBU and
reached 1,000 career points as well. So
Lubbock Christian, and LCU was down 14 at half. Came back, went ahead, ends up tying it up right there at the end, and DBU pulled out by 6. But that was a good game too. And
LCU's streaky because of just the way they play right now.
Yeah, the Duncan kid had 6 at halftime, comes back out second half and scores 24 in the second half.
Ethan Duncan, former Tech player, his dad's the coach at LCU as well. And, I'm happy for the kid. You know what I mean? He got hurt at Tech. Didn't get a lot of PT there either. So, I mean, and then they come back. I was rooting for the Buffs hard on that one, though. I thought the way they played that first half, though, this is over. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't bet against the Tom Brown team.
No, well, not in tournaments. My gosh, What is that like? They've only lost like a game like twice the last 7 years in the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was basketball crazy today. That's kind of what I was going to hit you with.
Well, and that was the good stuff. That's where we're at right now. football wise, I heard last night on the news that Rodgers is being considered at Pittsburgh. Have you heard that? Aaron Rodgers.
There is no way that Rodgers and Tomlin get along.
Rodgers emerges as Steelers option, sources say. I heard this last night.
Hey.
I've got ESPN, and they're saying the same. Why? Explain to me. He was good when he was good, but there's a whole lot of people that are way better than him for a starting job at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Come on.
He can still. Well, here's the deal though. Pittsburgh doesn't make their quarterback, win the game.
Yeah, they're not a prima donna. You're not. You're not the prima donna there.
Yeah. So I mean, he can throw his 20 passes. They protect the quarterback the best they can. So, what about Russ, man? Russ is just being disrespected.
Yeah,
he had his moment in the sun at Seattle.
He did.
I wasn't a fan, obviously, because he was a Bronco. But I tell you what, if Tomlin got along, and they got along supposedly, you know what I mean, then he can get along with. I take that statement back right now. If he can get along with Russ, he can definitely get along with Rodgers.
I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan.
Yeah, but he hasn't won a playoff game in 7 years or 8 years.
I understand that. I'm also a Steelers fan from this perspective. Their ownership is loyal to their coaches.
Oh yeah.
I mean how many coaches have they had in the last 40 years? 4?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the Cowboys have had 4 in the last time.
I love that too.
The
Rooneys have shown an example of how it can be done correctly in such a competitive, intense, when you're always put on the spot. Hey, also just a reminder that we will have Jalen Conyers he was on the pod here. We will have he looks like he improved his stock. He had a wonderful on the field,
he looks massive.
He looks massive. He's too it's ridiculous.
I watched him run that 40. Holy smoky!
And his hands were amazing on that drill they do. But I got to ask you, how stupid is it to have a long jump and jump up and touch something? And I get it. You can jump high. Okay, so you're a little athletic. Just jump up for me. I can tell you. A long jump? I mean, it's pretty intense. But congratulations to Jalen. He was on our podcast. We enjoyed him. You guys got to know his personality, so we know he crushed the interview part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he just knocked that out of the park, they said. That's just him being him. So.
Well, he's a sharp kid.
But how about the draft this year? It's in Lambeau at Green Bay. I hope there's snow. I hope it's a wild spring snowstorm.
Wouldn't you like to be there?
Oh, I would love to be. Of all the drafts, in Lambeau, yeah.
That's, Lowe invited Kim and I to come up one week. It was on the week of. He was going to be in Green Bay.
Wow.
And there's just no way we could make.
Are you going to get Lowe on?
We need to.
If he comes in town?
If we could get him to town, he's down in Plano now.
Right.
If I could get him to town, I know he'd do it.
Yeah.
If the NFL let him, there's rules now.
Oh, I know.
He's got to follow all the rules.
I mean, he used to come on my show all the time, my radio show, and then also when I did that stuff at Channel 10. It's kind of over with, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's just going by the rules.
Had a lot of nice comments about our interview with Lee. I was glad we got to have him on the other day. I think he appreciated that, but that was a good one. Get a chance to visit with him too.
Yeah, Lee Baker. Wow. Yeah. So New World. Hey, you got anything else for us today?
Well wishes to John Mark.
Oh yes.
My gosh. This guy runs 30 miles a week and feels that what you hear on the the sidelines all the time. Shortness of breath, a little heavy on the arm, and looks up and he's got 4 bypasses going on that week, and so. He's home, and I haven't talked to him, but Sandy says he's recouping well, and he wrote a little stuff this weekend, typical John Mark, humor. But bottom line, he's grateful.
Yeah.
But he said the Widowmaker was 70% blocked, and who would have known? I mean, this guy, like I said, he runs 30 miles a week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad he's doing better. I got contacted by the AISD. I mean, I don't want to fill the shoes by any means of the Emerald Relays. John Mark does an amazing job. I've done a couple of track meets, nothing at that level to keep the pace up. But he announced it. But he's going to be there for that, and they just want to say, look, if he gets tired or whatever, can you fill in? And I'm like,
you going to be the wingman?
Well, Here's the deal. I believe in that philosophy. You never follow the legend. You follow the guy who tried to follow the legend. You know what I mean? So, no, but we wish him the best. I mean, we really do.
Yep.
That's so scary in life, but it just goes to show you never promise tomorrow. Live today like you can, even if you have to move for about a week.
I was fixing to say we can't leave without talking about Lance had to move this week. So my friend Lance, let me set the stage here. How old are you now?
60. My birthday's tomorrow.
So you'll be
67.
Happy birthday. So at age 66 or 65, did you get married for the first time?
Age 65.
Age 65. I had two friends that year get married, both of them over 60 for the first time.
And we met, by the way, a week ago, and I invited him on the podcast. He said, no one wants to listen to him. I said,
Bandy?
yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bill Bandy and Lance Lawnert, two of my good friends, both over 60, get married for the first time. And y'all had to move this weekend. Let's talk.
Oh, man.
The look on your face says it all.
Yeah. It's, I'll tell you what I said coming in. Okay, I've had two ACLs. I wrecked the sweet family car, the hot rod that my dad finally bought us. I wrecked it when I was 16. I got fired from the first job I ever got out of high school. Out of college, excuse me. So I actually had a degree, that type of job. But this is 20 times worse than anything I've ever gone through. I'm physically beat up. I'm mentally beat up. My lovely wife, Rhonda, I feel so sorry for her. My whining has been ridiculous. But I will say this, and Rhonda will admit it, she has some stuff, okay? She has some stuff. And we're not completely done yet. I got till midnight tonight to get this thing closed out. And just a tip to movers out there. Hire somebody, okay, number one. Number two, never February. We've had that freeze. We've had snow over the weekend. Just a huge mistake, okay? And then have the house you're moving into ready to move into. Don't be fixing it up as you're doing both. So those are 3 tips, Jimmy.
I think those are good ones. The worst mistake Kim and I probably ever made was adding on to our house and living in it while they did it. And I don't think we would do that again. But I laughed all weekend long because – Rondo posts a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was watching.
I'm not on Facebook. I don't even look at it.
I finally responded. I said, poor Lance. She goes, yeah, he's okay. So I don't think she was giving you any love on that one. So.
No, I'm not okay. She's been a trooper, trust me. So that's where I'll be this afternoon. That's where I'll be this evening. And hopefully at midnight, that house is empty. Okay.
Good luck.
All right, thanks. All right. Yeah. Hey, we can't thank you enough for joining us. We'll see you when we see you. This is the Fieldhouse Podcast, a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network.